Hey everybody, welcome back to MR Academy. Hope everyone's having a great start to the school year. So today, I just wanted to do a quick video. It's been a while, I'm still kind of waiting for school to really get into session, and if you have any ideas as school goes on, if your kiddos are struggling with a certain concept, let me know. Comment below, comment on my Facebook page. Send me a message, whatever you need to do. If you have any questions as a parent, as a teacher, as a student, let me know exactly what you're questioning, and I will put a video together about it. Right now, still the beginning of the school year for most people. It's kind of slow to start with, so I'm going to continue making little videos like this until I start getting a few questions. But one thing that I have noticed that students struggle with is this idea of converting. Going from decimal to percent, percent to decimal, decimal to fraction, fraction to decimal, fraction to percent, and percent to fraction. Something that a lot of students do struggle with. So we're going to talk a little bit about it and try to make it a little bit easier for them to understand. So the first one we're going to talk about right here is converting from a decimal to a percent. So from a decimal to a percent. Now, if you are a kid, you are going to see something right here that is not what you think it is. That is not a hashtag, all right? I am not drawing hashtags. That used to be the symbol for number. Things have changed over the last few years, but when I was growing up, this meant a number. That's a number, that's a number, that's a number. That's how we're going to use them today. Those are not hashtags. We are not going to use Twitter or anything in this video, okay? Those are hashtags. That's what we're going to use them as, okay, for numbers today. You're used to hashtags. We're going to call them numbers. Okay? So why like that is because this is our current decimal right here. You see all of these right here. All of these decimals, just two numbers after the decimal place. Okay? Now this little dot right here, you might call it a dot too. That is a decimal. And that just means that we have a whole number on this side, and then we have something smaller than a whole number on this side right here. Okay? So that decimal place tells us, okay, everything on this side of me, everything on this side of the dot is a whole number, it's a big number. Everything on this side of the decimal place here, on this side of the dot, is smaller than 1. It's smaller than a whole. It's a part of a number. Okay? So we drew that up here as well. We got our number, a whole number of some kind out here. We have our decimal place, and then we have our smaller parts of that number, less than 1, less than a whole thing. Okay? So we are going from a decimal to a percent, which is literally just part of 100. Okay? If we're talking about 100% of something, it's the whole thing, 100 parts out of 100. Maybe it's 72%. It would be 72 out of 100. Okay? 72 parts out of 100. 72%. Okay, so percent is parts out of 100. We're going to go from decimal to percent by doing this. We are going to go boop, boop. Yes, we booped. Okay? We booped a couple times because that's what we're going to do. We're going to take that decimal place. We're going to take that dot right there. We're going to move it boop, boop, 2 spots to the right, this direction, okay? This direction, right. Now going from decimal to a percent is all you have to do right there is move those 2 spots. You double boop, or if you are a Bears fan in the NFL, you can double doink it. You can go doink, doink. Those of you that are Bear fans or watched the playoffs last year, you will know exactly what the double doink is. I will not elaborate, but we've got boop, boop, or doink, doink. We're going to move that decimal spot 2 places. That's going to tell us our percent. And that's going to equal some number percent. Okay? Whatever it happens to be. That is our percent symbol right there. Okay? So, okay, we've got 0.77. Okay? We're going to take that decimal place. We're going to move it boop, boop, or doink, doink. It's going to turn into 77%. Right here, we're going to take that decimal place and move a boop, boop, or doink, doink. It's going to be 17%. Okay? We move it over. There's our decimal place. We're going to boop, boop. We go from 0.85. We double doink it. It turns into 85%. 19 right here, 0.19. We are going to double doink. We go boop, boop, doink, doink. 19%. And our last one for going from decimal to percent is going to be double doink, double doink, double doink, double doink. 34%. 61%. Simple as that. Okay, all we got to do is double boop or double doink, and you're going to get your percent out of a decimal. Now we're going to go the opposite direction. You see, they give us the percents here. Now you notice up here, we double doinked that decimal place. We don't draw it up here, but it's actually right after that last number. Okay? It becomes more important later on when you are using numbers that have more decimal places than just 2 of them. That's all we're going to do today, just a couple decimal places. So we are going to go right here. We're going to imagine this is here, that we have the decimal place. We're going to go the opposite direction. We are going to double doink backwards to go from a percent to a decimal. So when we double doink backwards, we keep our decimal point there. Turns into 0.34. This one right here, we are going to double doink that decimal place. Moves in front of the 92, and it becomes 0.92, or 92 hundredths. 16%, we are going to double doink backwards. We double doink in that direction to the left. Turns into 0.16. And here we start right there. We double doink to the left. Turns into 0.56. And the last one here, our last column here, we will double doink to the left. Turns into 0.27. And we double doink that direction again, and we end up with 0.17. Okay, so those are our double doinks there. Now we are going decimal to fraction. Now this one today, I'm not going to simplify. We're just going to keep it nice and easy. All we do, going from decimal to fraction, if it's just 0.57 like that, all we have to do is say, okay, whatever that number is after the decimal place, over 100. You could even draw it over here. Out of 100, get rid of the 0. 57 out of 100. This one right here, we can get rid of that decimal place and the 0. It's going to be 9 out of 100. Over here, this one we could make a little bit smaller. We'll cross off the 0 and the point. Out of 100, we end up with 14 out of 100. We could make that smaller. If you have seen my simplifying fractions video, you know that we could make that a little bit smaller, but we're just going to leave it just like that for now. And down here, same thing, 77 out of 100 ends up being our fraction there. And our last column, we cross all that stuff off, 35 over 100. 35 100ths is our fraction. And same there, only 1 100th more. 36 instead of 35, we have 36 100ths, and that's our fraction there. Now, this case, going from fraction to decimal, does take a little bit more work. And it does kind of involve what we did in the video I made before, talking about simplifying fractions and trying to find a common denominator or the same number in the bottom. In this case, we want the number on the bottom of all these to be 100, because that's going to tell us our percent and our decimal. Okay? So, 21 out of 50, 21 50ths. And how do we turn 50 into 100 through multiplication? Okay, we could add. That's not going to go over here. Okay? Multiplying is what we have to do if we want to turn that into 100. 50 times something has to equal 100. Well, 2 times 50 is 100. Which means what we do to the bottom of a fraction, we have to do to the top, as I mentioned in the video on fractions. So we're going to have 100 on the bottom, and 2 times 21 is 42. Check it to make sure. I have made mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. Part of being human. Okay? Check it if you want to, but 42 should be it. And then we look at that and we say, okay, well, up here, 57 over 100 was the same as 0.57. We are going to turn that into 0.42. Okay, it's just whatever's over the 100 with a little decimal point in front of it. That's all there is to it. Okay. Same thing down here. We have to turn that into 100. Well, in this case, we can't multiply it by 2. We're going to multiply it by 4. Okay. So, there's my clock again. We'll just let it play its music. And I'll try to talk over it the best I can. So, to get from 25 to 100 by multiplication, we have to multiply it by 4. That is going to be the difference between this one and the last one. Okay? So, 4 times 25 is 100. That's our goal. We want to get something over 100. 4 times 22, if I'm doing my math correctly, is 88 out of 100. We can do the same thing right there again. We just put a decimal point down, and then whatever's over that 100, 88.88. Perfect. All right. Next one up here, we're back to our 50. We know we have to multiply 50 times 2 in order to get our 100 on the bottom, which is our ultimate goal right there. Kind of our ultimate goal. It is our penultimate goal. 2 times 24. 48. And then we know it is point, whatever's on top of that 100, 0.48. I have not done this one yet. 1/10. What times 10 equals 100? Well, 10 times 10 equals 100. Which means we have to do the same thing to the top. We have 100 on the bottom. 10 times 1 is simply 10. Draw our little arrow there. It's slightly kittywampus, but that's going to be my arrow. Kittywampus, that's a word we have to bring back. Kittywampus. Everyone that's watching this, start using kittywampus again. I like that. Kittywampus and swell. Swell is another good word. How are you feeling today? I'm swell. Anyway, I digress. 10 is what's over the 100, so we have 0.10. Same thing right here. 10 times 10. So we have to do 10 times 9 as well. 100 on the bottom. 10 times 9 is 90. Kittywampus arrow. We have 0.90 is our decimal. And back to our 50, we know we have to multiply that by 2. Multiply the top by 2 as well. We end up with 20 over 100. We draw our arrow, and it is 0.20. Good stuff. Good stuff right there. All right, and this one right here, pretty much the same idea. Okay, we're going to go to our fraction first. So we're going to multiply by whatever it is to get to 100. So 20 times what is 100? 5 times 20 is 100. So we have our 100 on the bottom. 5 times 13 is 65, if I remember correctly. Except this time, instead of going to a decimal, we're just going to say, hey, 65 out of 100, that's the same thing as 65%. Good stuff. 6 over 10, well, 10 times 10, we know that's 100. So 10 times 6 is 60 out of 100. And 60% then. We just say 60 out of 100 is the same thing as 60%. We've got a couple more here. Let's just turn these all into 100s right away. 10 times 10, 10 times 10, 10 times 8, 10 times 8. All right. So 10 times 8 is 80 out of 100, which is the same thing as 80%. We just take our number that's on top, throw a percent after it, we're good to go. 10 times 5 is 50 out of 100, which is the same as 50%. Let's turn these ones into they're already fractions. We are going to turn these into over 100 fractions. 5 times 20 we decided was 100, so 5 times 3 is 15 out of 100. Kittywampus arrow gives us 15%. And 10 times 10 is equal to 100, so 10 times 3 is 30 out of 100. And then we are left with 30% for our answer. All right. Going backwards now. Okay. Now I'm not going to simplify fractions again. We're just going to leave them as a whatever it is over 100. Okay. So what we did up here was we took whatever was on top of the fraction, just put a percent after it. This time we're going to get rid of the percent, and we're just going to put it over 100. 77 over 100. From a percent to a fraction, get rid of that percent sign and put it over 100. All right, so 70 over 100. 44 and 70. Yes, you can break it down. Those of you that are screaming at me, simplify, simplify. No, I'm not going to worry about simplifying in this case. Okay, we're just going to keep it nice and simple today. 44%. We're going to cross off that percent, adios, and put it over 100. Yes, once again, you can go ahead and scream, simplify. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to simplify today. Of the percent sign, 71 over 100. That is our fraction. This one again, we get rid of the percent sign, 72 over 100. Again, yell at me, simplify. Don't do it. Okay, I'm not going to simplify right now. Yes, you can simplify. If you need to simplify, you can go for it. Okay, don't worry about it in this case. Do not worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it. We're keeping it simple. We're going to cross off the percent there, and we are left with 13 over 100 as our fraction for that one. Okay. So, once again, that was a lot I just threw at you, but what seems like a complicated idea that a lot of students do struggle with. It's actually really a simple thing if you just break it down piece by piece. Okay. So, thank you for tuning into this one. And if you have any videos you want to see me make, I urge you, leave one in the comments. Find the Facebook page, MR Academy, on Facebook. Like the page, drop a comment, send me a message, okay? And share all these videos. Share my channel with other people that you think might need a little bit of assistance. Okay? I don't just plan on doing math. I plan on doing other things as well. Check out my back to school study skills video. I did that right before school started to get everybody ready to go. I hope to do some science. I hope to do some reading, writing, various ideas. Okay? I don't just want to limit this to math. Ask me about anything. If you have any questions, I'm happy to make a video for you on whatever your question is. So, that being said, thank you for watching. I really, truly do appreciate it. And until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.